we have kids that currently, if they have siblings, we've shifted a little bit in our philosophy, because I believe before I came here there was a transition where parents were making a transition that we would provide.
Right.
I'm going to call it
After
school care for a short period of time. And so last year we had a large number. We've actually reduced it, so we're moving back to a model where we're not going to provide that service. But we don't want to leave the parents without having some type of service that can be provided. So that's why, regardless if we were going to do this or not, I was going to go down that path as part of our just being responsible and offering that to parents.
Okay.
But I just want to share those pieces of information so that we're clear, and we can revisit this if you want. In fact, I will revisit it at the Tuesday night meeting.
Okay, so for option 4 with the start times of either 8:10, 8:15 to 2:30, 8:40 to 3:30, do you have the actual student teacher time? Like this?
Off the top of my head, no. But if you put in context, if the elementary is starting at 8:15 and they're ending at 3 o'clock, it's the same. For scenario 4.
I thought you said
They're not. You said 8:10 to 2:30.
They can start at 8:10 if we so choose, because the contract is 8:10.
8:10, 8:15 to 2:30.
so the elementary students would lose no time.
The elementary, and if you put back the art and the music, they would not lose time.
Okay.
Instructional time.
I had that down without art and music.
I think it would help, but on Tuesday night, like
You could
said,
have those
earlier, it was
written
a
out.
suggestion to put it
I'll write them out.
in black and white, so that we have it in front of us, and because otherwise you're going to be repeating yourself,
And we could write it down wrong, and then
we can write it down, yes, and then we
All
have
right.
more questions. Sorry,
I appreciate that.
sorry, I'm very practical.
I get it.
But go ahead.
There's a lot of information tonight.
There is.
Okay. Any other questions?
Not yet.
Okay. So just to be clear, so we had our what I refer to as our building, which is a building plan. So the building committee, communications committee, from the architectural side, that's one piece of it. We have our budgetary plan, and then we have our curriculum plan. So I'm going to go over the curriculum plan because again, the directive was, just to be clear, I'm going to move these. Okay. So the directive was that the board wanted me to do a feasibility study for a grade center plan, correct? That was the purpose of tonight, okay? So we're still deciding on scenario 4 or scenario 5. So one of the things that I put together is, what could curriculum look like in the future if we were to go to grade centers. And one thing I can share with you guys, we have a phenomenal curricular review cycle. It's just amazing what we've put together in a short period of time. So the plan is over a 6-year period. We're taking a look at all of our areas. In the first year, we looked at special ed. That was one of the main areas we looked at. We looked at special ed. We're looking at our science program, in addition to a few other areas. So because of that, what we did in the curriculum review cycle, and I'll talk about this a little later, we implemented a co-teaching program. And the reason I say that is we have a habit in special ed where we don't want to service our kids to the fullest extent. So what happens is, the easier way, we think it's more economical to actually, what I refer to as outsource our kids, which is not a good practice. So what we've been doing is looking at our kids individually that are at third-party providers, and we're bringing them back into district, okay? And so one of the things that led to that is our curriculum review cycle, and we're looking at profession-based, inquiry-based learning. Our articulation has been phenomenal. It's so exciting. We meet regularly with the high school and with Union Ridge. It's once a month. And it is just amazing. I could just talk about on and on about some of the things that we're actually getting done in a short period of time. It's very collegial. It's very visionary. And I've even heard from the superintendent of the high school, never has this happened before. Never. And so this is just amazing. You guys should be very excited because we're going to have better alignment, not only with the high school, but more importantly, we're going to be able to access programs such as Triton. And let me remind you, one of the things that that happened with Triton is the president of the university is a Giles grad. And one of our students, a 6th grade student at Giles, was able to be the president of Triton for a day. And it was amazing. It's in the paper. And we walked to one of their facilities. I know this is a tangent. It's not in the presentation. I'm just a little bit passionate. But they had an outstanding facility for the medical field. It was just amazing. They have technology where the body is literally inside of a giant iPad. And you go through layer a layer of the nervous system, the skeletal system, the muscular system. Just amazing to say the least. But I just want to share that with you. We're having greater articulation. We're looking at service-based graduation where kids are able to work with nonprofits in the future. And I think that's something very exciting. We're in our infancy. We just started discussion. We really haven't shifted in that direction quite yet because we have many things on our plate. E-learning would be something that we look at, where we could look at having courses that are taught online. We could do the online courses through services such as Edgenuity, or you could do them with the high school, or you can do it with students at the high school as well as the elementary school. So it just opens up the door for a lot more opportunities for kids. In addition, extension of the World Language Program. If you go to grade centers, you can actually go 5th through 8th grade. The good thing is, believe it or not, we have 4 teachers that are certified for bilingual education. We have 4 teachers. So we have 2 teachers that have multiple certifications, in addition to the 2 Spanish teachers that we hired last year. So we'd be able to expand that course, where all kids in 5 through 8 would have the Spanish, and it would be treated like a core, like ELA, like social studies, like math. We'd be able to implement a gifted program. We could have flexible scheduling. For example, if a kid is learning or performing on the MAP assessment at the 75th percentile and they're in 2nd grade, they can actually walk to this 3rd or 4th grade classroom and they can actually take courses that, like, for example, are math. They could be ELA. It doesn't really matter. You're able to meet the child at their current learning level. We're able to do that right now, but we'll be able to expand even further. Because, if you extend that, you could actually do it where you can have kids that are in 7th and 8th grade, and they could take courses that are at the high school if they so choose. ELL, we have the K through 8 grades are in the least restrictive environment. We'll be able to mainstream the kids and make sure that they're in the class where they belong. Consolidation of services. And this is one that actually is in its infancy, but Ridgewood High School is actually designating one of their directors to help put our programs in line. So District 80 is not paying for it. RHS is paying for it, and that director is going to work with us. And they're going to help to align our program. And we're starting with math, and we're basically shifting over to the STEM program. Those are the first 2 that we actually talked about working on. And I don't think that's been board approved yet, but I think it's close to being board approved. Is that correct? Yes, it's close to board approval. But exciting to say the least. And again, the world language programs, one of the things that we're hearing is in our first year of the Spanish programs, we had 21 kids that took the Spanish summer program at the high school. And I want to say 16 of the 21 tested into Spanish 2. This year, at one of our schools, we had, I believe it was 41 kids. The majority of our kids are already tested into Spanish 2. So we're already making progress. This is just going to lead the way for the kids to be able to take the honors course and then the AP. And if you're taking the AP, you're able to get college credit. Even if you score 3 on the AP exam, you can get college credit. Author adoption program will be able to have more extensive programs with Eisenhower Library. I've talked about this before. It's going to excite the kids to wanting to read more. And then special education. And this is a difference. If you look at scenario 4 versus scenario 5, in scenario 5, we will have 1 special education teacher per grade level, designated. You'll have 1 special education teacher designated per grade level. So the first grade team will have a special ed teacher, 2nd, 3rd, all the way up, even including kindergarten. Versus our current scenario, where we'd have to add 1 or 2 special ed teachers. And one of the reasons why we have to do that is a BIP program a program that was provided by a third party, another school, has just been eliminated, and 2 of our kids are coming back. And so we're going to have to provide for those kids regardless. We don't have a choice. So you're going to have to incur that expense. And then the continuity of instruction, I talked a little about this, but we'll be able to use the time, the transition time, the first year, to build the continuity of our instruction, as well as build relationships and trust with our teams. Because you got to imagine, if you go down this road, people are going to have to learn to work together, and we're going to have different norms and standards to create a climate and culture for learning. Additionally, curriculum standards, great organization will provide a greater opportunity to align the curriculum and the review cycle on an annual basis to make sure we're meeting the kids' needs. Competency-based learning program, and this is something we just started with the high school. We're going to try and create a individualized learning plan for each student, so we're able to meet their needs individually, as opposed to more or less providing a broader curriculum across the grade level. And then lastly, the continuous improvement practices. One thing I've preached upon for a long time is, and I say this tongue-in-cheek, is no math problem left behind. And as a parent, when I go home and I do math, it is very difficult. I know it is. It is very difficult, to say the least. And so one of my visions for this district, regardless if we go down this path, is we want kids to do their math problems before they leave. All that should be completed because we want mom and dad to have reading time and writing time with their child. We believe that that should be the responsibility of the school. And so those are just a few things that I put together. I have 2 maps so you could see this. This will all be posted online. I'll re-present some of this information on Tuesday night, the 21st. And I was going to leave it for questions from the board first, and then I was going to take a seat, and then we can...
I have a question. Can you go back to the last slide, the slide before you went to the diagrams? One more. There we go. On the competency-based learning program, is that tying into what Ridgewood is now trying to implement in their RGen strategy going forward with their students?
Be careful. I can't speak to...
being self-learners, picking their courses, and the student taking their own path through the high school. So does that align with that strategy that the high school is trying to implement in the upcoming years?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions on the board?
I have some questions. Some of the programs that you mentioned, I mean, they all sound phenomenal, but you didn't, or there were no dollar amounts associated with any of these programs. How much, I mean, like you had mentioned the STEM program, it's not going to cost us any money, but that's...
We don't have a STEM lab.
Exactly, that's ludicrous. We don't have a STEM lab, so there's going to be an inherent cost to that. How much is that going to be? Moving to the author adoption, that's going to be purchasing additional books. Have these partnerships, have they been solidified with the high school? Have they been solidified with the libraries? I mean, are those conversations happening, and where's the dollar amount associated with these things?
So I can go through some of them, not all of them. But the curriculum review cycle right now, it's minimal cost. We have after-school meetings with our teachers that we pay hourly. We've budgeted for it.
But didn't we take that out?
I was going to say, curriculum review, you said we weren't going to be doing because all your time was going to be focused on which option we ended up going with to schedule it, so that you told us at the last meeting or one of the other meetings that we'd no longer be able to do curriculum review.
Well, here's the beauty, right? So because of the schedule we designed, we actually have transition time as part of the transition plan. We have time at the end of the day where teachers can talk about the curriculum review, and they could do it at the end of the day. So there would be no additional cost with respect to some of the curriculum review. But let's be mindful, in the actual plan, we took out $15,000. There's still a chunk of money that's dedicated for our curriculum that the board felt was important as we improve our curricular programs for kids. We did not take that out. So we do have some money that's actually still allocated. But to your point, that's where we would have that additional time at the end of the day, daily, where the teachers can meet.